Hi, I'm Brian King, and this is Winning Wednesday. A while back, I did actually a Five Things Friday on 5 complaints that wives have about their husbands. So I thought it was only fair to kind of look at the common complaints that husbands have about their wives. Well, I wasn't sure what they were, so I Googled it. And it turns out, no, there were no big surprises. But I thought instead of doing it on a Five Things Friday, I would look at them individually on Wednesdays, because if we can overcome these common complaints, then we can win. Pretty obvious, right? So for today's Winning Wednesday, first I'm going to tell you what all the common complaints are, and then we're going to focus on one of them. So by Googling, like I said, I wasn't doing anything magical to come up with these. They're not my idea, so don't blame me. But some of the most common complaints that men have about women, or wives, husbands have about wives. Number one, she seems grumpy all the time and negative. Number two, she constantly nags and micromanages. Like I said, I didn't make these up. Don't blame me. Number three, she shuts down his advances. In other words, he's not getting enough sex. Number four, she stops caring about herself. Number five, she makes being mom her main personality. Obviously, that's for women that have kids, for wives that have kids. Also along that same line, number six, she becomes an alpha parent. And basically what that means is like she's in charge and don't get in her way. Number seven, she's not thankful for all the things that the husband does. And number eight, she doesn't have her own personality, her own thing. She's just the wife. And that's the 8 most common, according to Google, complaints that men have about women. So let's start with number one. She seems grumpy all of the time. Well, let's start at the beginning. Was she like that when you were dating her? Well, if she was, then I may not be able to help you, and you may have made the wrong choice. But just kidding. Now, if she wasn't grumpy all the time when you were dating, then you need to basically look for what's changed. Now, say you have 3 kids under the age of 5 and she stays home with them all the time. I think you've found your answer, but it may not be that obvious. Sometimes it could have something to do with what's going on at work. I know when we first got married, my wife and I, we lived in a city, and she was a mortgage processor at a bank, and the bank got purchased, it got bought out, and it was good from an income perspective because she got a lot more commissions on the work that she was doing. However, the whole place became a pressure cooker, and she would come home in a bad mood. And it was nothing to do with me, it was everything to do with work. And most of the time, I could just kind of, take care of her. But on the times when I'd had a bad day at work, it wasn't good. And because of that, I can understand what it's like to have somebody who's negative and grumpy and complaining. And we ended up fixing that by splitting the chores a little more evenly. I did a little more of the cooking when we were going through that period of time, because she was just like right out straight at work. And, basically she said, just, pour me onto the couch when you bring me home, and don't expect too much. So that didn't last forever, but it's an example of outside stress making her grumpy, because that was not her normal mode. And we ended up changing that job, and it got a lot better. But that's one of the things it could be. Now, one of the main things you've got to be careful about is if you are experiencing this, if you feel like your wife is grumpy all the time, don't use it as an excuse to back away. And don't diminish the problem. Don't say, why are you always grumpy all the time? Don't do that. That's not going to help. It's going to make it worse. And like I said, don't back away. Don't go to your man cave. Don't just go sit in your chair and watch the news in front of the TV or get on your phone and then totally ignore her. That's not what she needs. Basically, if she's in that state, find out what it is that's making her grumpy. Is she overloaded at work? Is she overloaded at home? Is she annoyed with something that's going on around the house? I mean, lots of times, for me, I can pretty much ignore everything except what I'm paying attention to. For her, it's all connected. That's what she's told me anyway. She calls it something like open awareness. Like if there's a sink full of dishes and undone laundry, even if it's in the other room, she knows it's there because she's just aware of everything that's going on around her, and that can totally affect her. So ask her, what can I do to help? It may be chopping up some vegetables so you can, cooking together. Do something together with her. Maybe she needs a break. Maybe she needs to go, out with the girls and have some fun and you can watch the kids. Maybe she needs to go out with you. Maybe you need to take her to dinner. Say, honey, we're going to skip dinner. Let's go out. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be, it could be fast food, probably not, but maybe Chinese or a less expensive restaurant if it's not convenient. Maybe you guys need to get a babysitter and have a real date. It depends on the situation. And like I said, the important thing is don't use it as an excuse to back away and just, whoa, she's in a mood. I'm out of here. Nope, she'll stay in that mood. She'll be in that mood when you get back. It'll be even worse because you left. So don't fall into that trap. Now, one of the other things, when you offer to help, if you offer to cook, clean up too. If you end up making more work for her, it's not going to help. Maybe she needs the trash taken out. Maybe you need to do it before she asks. Maybe she's way behind on the vacuuming or the cleaning, or there's something that is really bugging her about something in the house. Find out what it is and take care of it. You say, well, I work all day too. So, well, do you want a happy wife? Maybe you need to hire somebody. It doesn't have to be like a regular thing. It could be like every other week, have somebody come in and do the deep cleaning. Clean the toilets, wash the floors, vacuum, whatever. Just to give her that extra advantage so she doesn't have to deal with everything. Because, like I said, in her mind, she is dealing with everything all the time because of that open awareness that she has going on. We used to call it like she was like a bowl of spaghetti, and sometimes there were like a lot of meatballs that had to be dealt with. However you look at it, the main thing is to find out what the stressor is, because it's almost always stress, and it may be stress that you don't see because you can totally ignore it, but she can't. And then once you find out, do something about it. Put the work in. It's worth it. And then, like when my wife was working really hard at the bank, make sure that you appreciate what she's doing. And by that I mean, like, talk to her and say, oh, honey, I know it's really hard, but you're doing such a great job. Or with the kids, honey, oh, I don't know. I don't think I could stay home with the kids all day. You're doing such a great job. You're a great mom. Never criticize, because you're just like, it's like adding fuel to the grumpy fire. It won't help you a bit, but appreciation will help you. Appreciation goes a really long way. She'll go through a lot as long as she knows that you're thankful for her and that you appreciate her. She'll do a lot. You'll get through hard times if she knows that you appreciate what she's doing, and she'll do it happily. My wife is an extremely hard worker when she's appreciated. and she is extremely grumpy and not happy about it when she's not appreciated. And I can control that by appreciating her and making sure that she knows that she's appreciated. Remember, even if you appreciate her and think it, until you say it, you've said the exact opposite. So that's my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear what you are thinking about on this one. Like I said, we're going to deal with each one of these individually in the next bunch of Wednesdays. Offer to help. That's the biggest thing. Listen, look for what the stressors are, and make sure you appreciate her. And then you can win. See you next week on the next Winning Wednesday. Thanks for listening.